Good morning, St. Francis. It is Monday, May the 10th, 2021, Monday of the 6th week of Easter, the 37th day of Easter. Coming to you on assignment once again from an undisclosed location. In today's first reading from Acts of the Apostles, we begin to have a shift in the narration. Previous to this time, it seems to have been Luke, who is understood by tradition to be the author of the Acts of the Apostles, leading the narration of what has been occurring in the development of the Christian community, the first Christian communities. Now it switches in many ways to the first person of Paul. And Paul basically now describing his life and his adventures, his journeys, and his spreading of the gospel. He is moving into Greece. He is on his way to Rome. And so he's moving from Israel through Asia Minor into Greece, and he comes to the city of Philippi, in which he encounters there a woman named Lydia, a dealer in cloth, much like Paul's occupation seems to have been, cloth and purple dye. So a very wealthy woman. He brings the gospel to her. She accepts it, and she and her household are baptized. Again, a very interesting kind of encounter. One of the few women in the New Testament, in the letters in the New Testament, who is mentioned. Phoebe is another, perhaps more important woman than Lydia is. She is not mentioned within the Acts of the Apostles, but she is mentioned in one of Paul's letters. But Lydia, this woman of power, of means, of wealth, who accepts the gospel and opens up her house to Paul anytime he comes by, happens to pass through and what have you. And this whole sense, again, of the role of women and the power of women to spread the gospel, to become believers, and to encourage others also to believe after she has had her heart and mind opened to what the gospel is through the work of Paul and Barnabas. In the gospel, we hear something very interesting, because it is now the cost of what it means to be a believer, to be a disciple, to be a person of faith in this world. And whenever we hear the word cost, we think of pain, we think of anxiety, we think of something terrible. And Jesus, again, continues to warn at the Last Supper in John's Gospel that there will be people who will take those who are his followers, and they will try to hurt them and try to oppress them, try to exile them, whatever it is. And doing also because they believe that this kind of oppression, this kind of violence, this kind of aggression against the disciples of Christ is giving glory to God. Now, you might think that that is going to be the cost of discipleship, is the fact that there will be people who don't like us and don't like what we represent and don't believe in what we are and what we're trying to do, and who will try to hurt us again and again. And a lot of times, again, that is what is broadcast. That is what is made known many times in which Christians, in places where Christians are suffering, in which there is very pain and hurt because of what Christians believe at the hands of those who unfortunately do not. But the real cost of discipleship is not necessarily the pain and the hurt that comes when those who do not agree with what it is that we are representing, unfortunately, respond to us with. It is the fact, the cost of discipleship is no longer fearing, is no longer being afraid. And that always has to be, again, the foremost and the most principal and the most powerful cost of discipleship, is no longer being afraid. No longer being afraid of what anyone could do to us, of what anyone can say about us, how anyone could hurt us in this world, because our faith and our belief is supposed to carry us, beyond that, and to keep us persevering, to keep us having faith, to keep us moving forward, to be able to be witnesses to this world of a God who loves, of a God who forgives, of a God who has mercy, of a God who wants us to live life and have it to its fullest. Those who speak for God and seek to hurt us or harm us or twist our words or try to eliminate us or try to get rid of us are perhaps only acting because they have not let go of fear. They have not let go of the fear in their own lives. They have not let go of the fear that overpowers them, even though they even don't know it and they don't notice it, and it subconsciously works within them to cause them to respond and to react in ways, that are painful and hurtful. Yes, but the cost of discipleship for those who believe is never to be affected by that, is to be able to move beyond that, to no longer fear, to no longer be afraid. Again, Jesus says that again and again and again to the disciples. The witness, to the women at the tomb is not to be afraid, is not to look for the living among the dead, but to embrace the life that is given to us because Christ is risen and all of God's promises can be fulfilled. That is the joy and the wonder of Easter. That is the joy and wonder of a life that is filled with the gospel. That is the joy and wonder of a life that is no longer afraid. A blessed Easter, St. Francis. May the Lord continue to give you his peace.